No, they're very efficient in the pass game, you can say, right? You know, they have some good athletes running around out there, but we have some good athletes running around too. And as we get back more guys, and we can start matching up some people, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. You know what I mean? I mean, their offensive line does a good job protecting their quarterback too, so he doesn't have to move around a whole lot. And we're hoping we can get him to move some and get off his spot. And if we can do that, then we'll see how it works out. Yeah. I think that it's all by game plan purpose. You know what I mean? As you look at things, hey, this is going to be good this week. How do we match up here? What can we do to get a guy? You know, and go through their stats too. You know, I mean, see how they respond to things, and then you try to work those different things depending on what it is. You know, and that's really a game plan and game by game type of thing. So it was pretty effective. The guys did a good job. You know, taking it all into account and running some good paths and getting some more pressures in there. So that was a good thing. Sure, I think it's a combination of things. You know, you try to take away, hey, if they have this guy and you want to be able to play, you know, low on them with a guy over the top, or you want to be able to match up a dude, or you think you can get up and play guys and affect the offense in a different way. It's kind of an all-around thing. You know what I mean? Yes, do we never want to give up a big play? I mean, that's the things that's been really hurting us. You know, if you go through and you say, hey, you know, how many yards per attempt and per completion? Well, shoot, you know, it's not as horrible as our total numbers, you know, because we've seen so many passes. But it's also, okay, those things start to hurt us, and there's times you got to be able to challenge people and times that you can't, and it's got to work together. You know, you have to be able to figure out, okay, do you have the rushers who can win as opposed to you know, and you got to balance all that stuff out with your personnel that you have for that day too. Right now. Sure, I mean, I think a lot of his growth is coming from his health too. You know, I mean, he's starting to get in a spot where, you know, he's been nicked up this season and he's starting to feel better. You know, and his you know, everything you go through, you know, he's getting better. His speeds are getting better. His technique's getting better. You know, and the more time you have to practice, and the more you can do on the field, like today, preparing for those things, that helps you in the game. And the more times that you have to have a guy healthy and be able to do those things, the more you'll see improvement in the game, and it's been good. Well, I think that's something that you go through every year. You know what I mean? And it depends on where you're at. You know, if you have all the picks in the world, or you can get a guy off a free agency like in the NFL or something like that, it's a little bit easier to pick up something that you need. But you do have to be able to just say, hey, listen, here's who we have, here's what we can do, and then we're going to play our best that way. You know, and there's been times we played really good that way, and there's been a couple times when we've let down in the past game that way. You know, especially, you know, those 2 weeks before, you know, and you'd say, geez, you know, but those are things those are the challenges we have as coaches, and we have to face those challenges and come up with the best plan we can. No doubt. I think that it's something that, and you know, we even talk about takeaways come in bunches. You know, I know we didn't get a bunch on that day, but we got a bunch of fourth down stops, which are equal. You know, they're equivalent to takeaways, and we hope the more disruptive. Really, that stuff starts really up front, right? I mean, it's a team game, and and the more disruptive you can be to the guy throwing the ball, the more likely you have those things happen behind you. You know, the more he doesn't see exactly what happened post-snap because he's got to move or he's got to change something. And those are the things that you like to start working together. And at times they work really well together. And we've had those, you know. I mean, there's been like, I know we gave up a lot of yards about Miami, but once we started getting to that kid and hitting him, you know what I mean, all of a sudden the takeaways come. And it's a balance. I think it all starts with the guys up front and how disruptive they can be, how much we can move people. And then it transitions to the back end too. And the better we do up front, the better it is. Well, you know, I thought it was outstanding that we had a forward-thinking team. I know that, like you know, the deal is sometimes the outside noise is different than the noise in the building. And our noise in the building at that time was very different than the outside noise, which is tremendous. And these guys listen to the noise inside the walls. They listen to the things we were saying as coaches and as a team, and the leaders were saying. And that's the truth and the belief that they had to be able to go and put themselves in this position to say, okay, now we put ourselves in a position where we get to play for something and be able to go on to something like that. And it wasn't listening to everybody else. It's believing in yourself and the guys around you. That's a big piece of it. You know, I think the pieces really started falling in, you know, during fall camp when you see some of the guys transfer. Now, you know, still figuring out just the athletes you have, how you're going to use those pieces. But I think you look at it and said, hey, listen, we have some pretty good athletes. We got some pretty good guys up front. We got some pretty good guys in the back end. And finding that balance, you know, was like, okay, we have something that's going to be special. And really, if you look at it, it's all about some of the guys who have been here. You know, I mean, the X's or the B's, you know, guys like that grind. And like, they don't care what happens outside the building. And it's a beautiful thing. And when you see that, you say, okay, we got something special that these guys play with effort, man. They play hard all the time. They're never going to quit. They finish as much as they can, like practices and everything. And they bought into that philosophy. And that's when you started to see it go, okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. And we're starting to get guys leading each other. And we're starting to get the player led. And those are the things you really look for that give you a chance every week. Sure, I think every week, as with the way the season started too, I think that our guys truly play with a chip on their shoulder as much as they can, and that's when they really get their edge. I mean, it's a deal to say, okay, screw everybody else outside these walls. Let's get together and let's do more. Let's prepare better. Let's do all the things we can do to get things right so that we can go out there and show the world what it really is like. And I think that's when we play our best, when we play with a chip on our shoulder. I don't know if that was. I think some of the things of the roster was kind of planned from, as it started to move forward and start and all those things, and really that was, the transfer portal gave us that opportunity, and we tried to take best advantage of it as we could, and I think that is something that's here to stay. I don't know when that time came for Coach Tucker. I mean, that's a question you have to ask him. But really, for us, we go in and grind through, and then we go get in the portal and find the best players we can, and find the best players in high school that we can.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah.